professor and anyone else looking for fun games that are more challenges that really challenge your students or whoever to think through how to get out of these issues. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, one of which is not. Some of these are really good challenges. Some are just like fun games. The first it's called Water Bridge. I just made this one up, but I did this with some counselors at Alpine. Shout out to anybody that may be from that's watching that. We basically there was a pretty big gap or like. Basically, you had to get from one side of the little creek to the other using only a rope, and you can't fall in. The water was like 4 or 5 feet deep, 3 or 4 feet deep, so it's like it wouldn't be a big deal if you did fall in, but it was pretty fun. So we had to like throw the thing across, and I forget what else we did, but it was really fun. So that's one thing. Second thing, airplane game. So this is like where you could have a couple different groups depending on how many people you have, but you have one airplane, you have one navigator, and then the rest of the people are trees. And you set up a designated area, and then the trees, the students or the people would go and just stand there as trees, and then you have one navigator trying to help the plane go throughout without touching the other tree people. So it becomes kind of tough because if you have multiple people going at the same time, you're like trying to listen for yours, and you got to give clear examples. And anyway, as you're going. Over-under game until everyone's done it. This is probably one you've done before, but basically you take a beach ball or any kind of, object, and it's good for a lot of people. It's like 30 or 20, and you get them in a group of anywhere from like 5 to 10. I mean, it totally depends. You can do however much you want. And the people have to pass it under their legs and then over their head, under their legs, over the head. I think we actually did this one, Professor, when I was in China with you guys. I'm not really sure. But then when the last person receives it, then they go to the front of the line, and you do it until that first person does it twice, or they get back to the front of the line. And the first team to complete it wins. Next, blown up balloon game. So this one I was just reading about is you get like 3 balloons in a group of however many people, 7, 10, 15, whatever, and they all hold hands, and the idea is, I guess you have 2 groups at least going, but the first team to either break their hands apart or it touch the ground loses, or you could say like all 3 balloons, but you're trying to keep it up, mostly using I guess you can use your hands, but you have to stay holding the other person's hand, or use your feet, but it kind of becomes this like fun, this blob moving around, trying to keep the balloons up in the air. Bed sheet ping pong. This sounds really fun. So just get a random bed sheet or a tarp. You probably need a bed sheet because ping pongs are super light. You get 2 ping pongs, and you're basically playing soccer with the bed sheet. So if I'm on one side, I'm trying to get it to go off on the other side, while at the same time that group is trying to do the same thing. And the idea is you can't have him like fling it up in the air because it'll just go crazy, although that'd be really fun. The lineup challenge. What is this one? Oh, this one is where you have to line up with your group in a certain order without talking. So you could first say like do it by height, and the first group to do it by height wins. Then you could do by birthdays or number of years at camp, or how old you are. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Okay, and then the last thing is count up to the number of people present without looking. Okay, this one's really fun. I did this with my students, my middle school cross-country guys and gals this past year. But however many people there are, you count off how many people there are, 20 people, let's say, and then you sit in a group and you look down and you try and count to 20, but you do it, there's no order, and you can't look at other people. And so the idea is you're going to have, and if 2 people say it at the same time, you have to start over. That's the first team to get all the way up to 20. So it's this kind of scary thing because like you'll say 1, somebody else says say 2, and then you'll have 2, people say 3, and then you have to start over. Anyway, so there's a couple of ideas. Let me know if you have any thoughts. Hope these are helpful.